Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name's Brooke of Brooke Loves Knitting, and I'm so glad that you're here. On this channel, I love to talk about all things knitting, crafting, creativity, and creative community. If that's something you're into, I would love to see you around here more, so feel free to hit the subscribe button to see more of this content. You can also follow along with me on Instagram. I'll link it right here. So as I'm talking to you guys, it is the end of December. It's one of those weird days. It's a Saturday, and I'm like, what even day? Oh, it's the 27th of December. Like, I don't even know what day it actually is anymore. It's like in between Christmas and New Year's feeling where it's like, I don't know. It also snowed significantly where I live last night, and that's just making me feel cozy. I have been working almost nonstop on my step-by-step sweater. As you can see, I'm almost done. I just have to finish this one sleeve, and then we will be talking about the step-by-step sweater in my next video. So all exciting things around here, but I wanted to hop on and talk about my knitting plans for 2026. I have been consuming videos of people's knitting plans on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube nonstop, like nourishment. I've been in the gym getting my steps in on the treadmill because it is too cold to walk outside in New York right now, and just watching the TikToks of what the girlies and every other gender of folks are knitting for 2026, and just it's been feeding my soul. So as you may know, 2025 was my first full year as a knitter. I think I started knitting right at the end of 2024, like November of 2024. So I count 2025 really as my first year knitting, and I could not tell you how many projects I made. I don't know where half of them are now. I gave so many things away. I frogged a couple of things. I just was not tracking my progress at all this past year, and that's fine. I was knitting purely learning the skill in the past year, but I want to be more intentional in 2026 with what I'm making, what I'm tracking, what I'm giving away, what yarns I'm using, what yarns I've liked and disliked. So today we're going to go through my Ravelry queue. We're going to talk about what yarns I have in my stash, where I've been getting inspiration, and what's going to be on my needles, hopefully, in 2026. Starting with my goals for this next year in terms of knitting, I really want to gauge swatch. Can you believe I made it a whole year of knitting without gauge swatching? You know what? I can, because I only knit one sweater this year. I knit a couple of Sophie scarves, a couple of larger scarves, a hat, one really bad pullover. There's a YouTube video about it. It's like, I don't even consider that a finished object, but it's more like an archival piece of the first attempt I made at knitting a garment. Probably some other stuff that I can't even remember now. So this year I really want to focus in on up-leveling the skill set I already have as a knitter, and that's going to have to start with gauge swatching. Even this step-by-step sweater I'm working on, I'm knitting size C, the third size. However, I was knitting, I noticed some parts of it were like a little too big, so I went down to a size B in the body. I was able to do that. So I just think if I had done a gauge swatch, I would have known that size C may have been too big for me, or gotten a feel of what it was like with that particular yarn, which is Drops Nepal, on my needles. So that's something I want to get better at this year, and as I've said in previous videos, I really don't understand it. Like, I have been reading some more books about knitting, and I even got, I'll show you, my dad gifted me for Christmas as a surprise the Vogue knitting guide, and this book really feels like it goes into depth in a lot of technique. So I really want to read this cover to cover, and it talks about gauge swatching. I just feel like when I watch videos about gauge swatching, they never answer all of my questions. So maybe I need to take an in-person class about it. I don't know. They're like, yeah, just cast on 12 stitches. And I'm like, on what needles? Circular? Flat? Is there a different, like, so there's a lot of like small questions I have about gauge swatching. There's something about it that just hasn't landed for me yet. I know once I figure it out, I'm gonna be embarrassed that I admitted to that publicly. But this channel is about being honest with where we're at in our crafting journey. And honestly, I'm a year in, I don't understand it. I think that's okay. So that would be my top goal this year, would be to understand gauge swatching so I can make pieces that I feel really confident are going to be useful to me in my wardrobe, because you spend so many hours knitting a garment. I mean, my step-by-step sweater has taken me like weeks, and you want to know that for what you're spending on the yarn, the time you're putting in, it's going to make sense. So that's probably the number one goal I have. I also really want to get into non-monogamous knitting. I have been a monogamous knitter by practice. I think I just am very like headstrong, head down, get the project done. But when you're working on something big like a sweater, it's hard to stay focused on it the whole time. And it's hard to like bring it in the car, bring it to a cafe. So I think if I have multiple whips going at one time, it's gonna help me potentially finish more objects. I just watched a really great video about that convinced me to try non-monogamous knitting this year. It really could help me produce more knitting and be overall more satisfied with the time I'm spending knitting and feeling like I'm keeping my brain interested in different tasks, especially because I'm going back to school this year. Yup. At 30 years old, I'm going back to school. I'm gonna be in a medical program, and it's gonna be 2 years of my life just non-stop studying and clinicals. Yep. So I think if I have different projects on my needles, I'll be able to bring some smaller projects to school, work on them on lunch breaks and things like that. And overall just keep my brain kind of differentiated with different projects in my knitting, because I really feel like knitting is going to be such a big outlet for me as I'm going back to school for like stress reduction and just enjoying my creativity. I was talking to my brother about how I have to take a physics class for school, and I'm very nervous to take physics. Mind you, I've not been in school since I was 22, so I've gone 8 years without being in school. And my brother was like, I think if you can make this out of nothing, like if you can understand how to do this, he was like, I think you can understand physics. And I was like, wait a minute. You know what? And that's on crafting's power to remind us of our own strength of our abilities, because he's right. A year ago, I couldn't have conceptualized how I was ever gonna make a garment, and here I am able to talk about the technicality of knitting this garment. So I'm like, you know what? He's totally right. I can do hard things. I can take physics. Another goal I want to work on this year is my German short rows. You'll see in my queue there's going to be some patterns that require German short rows shaping, and I think that's just another basic skill that'll be really good for me to up-level my knitting. I also want to use up some of my stash yarn. We're going to talk about what stash yarn I have that's going to help me in my queue. And I really want to build a yarn display wall in my apartment. I am running out of space in this apartment. It is not that big, but I think I can make it work. I think I can find a space on one of the walls to display like some of my yarn, like in a pegboard. I'll give you an example here. I just think it'd be really cool because right now all my yarn is packed away in drawers, and I think it'd be great for me to just visualize and see what I have. I would say my overall goal this year is to create about 1 finished object per month for a total of 12 finished objects this year. I know I'm going back to school, and I know that might be a lot, but not all of the things I'm trying to make are larger patterns, as you will see in my queue. So I think it might be possible. If I make more than 12, I'll be thrilled. If I make less, I'll still be happy. You know, if I only make 4 things, it's still 4 things I wouldn't have made otherwise, but I'm gonna try and shoot for 1 per month, and we'll see how that goes. Before I get into fully what's in my queue of things I definitely want to make, I already have the yarn for, or I've purchased the yarn for, and it's on its way to me, I want to talk about some honorable mentions. When I was compiling this list of patterns I want to work on in 2026, I got 2 books out of the library that I found to be very helpful. It's Modern Top-Down Knitting by Christina McGowan. Gorgeous book. And Last Minute Knitted Gifts by Jolie Hoverson, and she's the owner of Pearl Soho. So there's some really beautiful patterns in here, and such a good reminder just to make use of your local library. My local library has knitting needles you can borrow from them, and there are just so many ways I think to make this hobby financially sustainable, and borrowing tools and getting tools for free or for cheap is definitely one of them. So check out your local library's resources for sure. So some honorable mentions of patterns that may creep their way up in the queue, but right now aren't officially on the queue. Something like this soft drawstring pouch. It's on page 85 of her book, and I'm sure you could find the pattern online. It's just called Soft Drawstring Pouch. Really cute, looks fairly simple. I think it'd be a really cute bag to gift to someone, and so that's something that I'm like, maybe I'll bust one of those out this year. Something that I think would be so cool, I'm just not sure I'm gonna have the stamina to do it, is these gusseted floor cushions. How spectacular would it be to have a floor cushion that you made that you could sit on? I just think that's kind of incredible. She has so many inspiring patterns in this book. I really recommend picking it up from your library. Another one I found interesting is the Hourglass sweater. It just seems like a really beautiful, simple sweater. Portrait neckline and fitted raglan shaping. I just ended up having too many other sweaters I wanted to make, but again, the fantastic thing about getting this book out of the library, I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record about loving my local library by the time this video is over, but the patterns are in this book. So I have access to, I don't know, 50 patterns for free in this book, which I really don't want to underestimate the power of saving a little money on this hobby in 2026 too. So, couple patterns I want to shout out from Modern Tap Down Knitting. There's one called Jill's Dress, and again, the author of these patterns is Christina McGowan, and that's Christina with a K. So I'm sure you could find these patterns on Ravelry if you don't have access to getting this book. I just thought this was such a beautiful piece, and details are immaculate. I don't personally feel called to try a dress this year. I think it's just going to be a little bit too complicated for me, and I want some wins while I'm in school and knitting, but I hope someone sees this and makes it because it looks gorgeous. Another incredible pattern here is the feather dress. Beyond what I want to be working on this year, but I just think absolutely incredible pattern to try. There are just so many beautiful patterns in here. I would highly recommend just seeing what pattern books your local library has and up-leveling your knitting for no cost. All right, let's get into this official queue. First and foremost, if you watched my yarn shopping vlog recently, you'll know that I purchased these Cardiff Classic Cashmere bundles. I just think they're so gorgeous. They're so soft. I can't wait to knit with them, and I'm gonna be making the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. The yarn shop owner and I did the math, and it should be about 1 ball or 25 grams for a small Sophie scarf. So that's my plan that I wanna cast on soon. You know, the second that my blue step-by-step sweater is in the blocking mat, I'm gonna cast one on. I'm probably gonna cast this oatmeal colored one on too first. This is color 509 by Cardiff Cashmere Classic. So I was thinking about holding it double with some mohair, mostly because I have a mohair problem in my stash, and I don't know what I'm gonna do to get rid of these mohairs. I shouldn't say get rid of, to use these lovely mohairs. But I was thinking, how special would it be to hold this double with a different color mohair and just make something super unique that maybe looks too much like pea soup, but it's cute. Yeah, this one too. I just think it could make it very unique. I'm feeling very called to use this mohair with it, which is like a very soft lavender. And I wish I could tell you what mohair this is. Unfortunately, I started using it for a different project probably 6 months ago and ended up frogging that project and saving it for something else. So I don't remember what this mohair is. I know it's not knitting for olive. Whatever it is, it's very luxe feeling, so it probably would pair really well with the cashmere. And this should be at least 25 grams. I'll have to weigh it. But I just think that'd be really special to pair them together, just to give it a little bit of a pop and a little bit of extra softness. So I'll probably try casting it on, holding one strand of each, and see how it looks. If I don't like it, I'll take the mohair out and just re-knit it with the cashmere. So that is number one on my queue. And it's possible at the same time I'll cast on with color 519 of the Cardiff Classic Cashmere. And again, that I could hold double with some sort of mohair if I like how that looks in color 509. If I don't cast this on immediately, later in the year I will be making another Sophie scarf with this cashmere. Okay, project number 2, no one's shocked. It's gonna be another step-by-step sweater. I actually ordered the yarn for this already. I ordered the yarn from Lind Hobby, which was really nice. They had free shipping inside the United States, which I really appreciated. I'm gonna be working with Drops Nepal again for the yarn because I'm really appreciating how it's working up in my first step-by-step sweater, and that is one of the recommended yarns for the pattern, so I always feel good if I can match that, just because I don't know enough yet to try and match things to a different yarn. And I ordered that in color 300 beige mix, so you can see that here. I think it's going to be really nice for me to balance having a blue kind of, you know, a little bit more of a bold color or a, you know, just fun colorway step by step, and a just more like oatmeal cream beige neutral color. I have some white jeans that I think it'll pair really nice with, so I'm looking forward to knitting that up as well. When I knit this one, I'm going to try it with the German short rows. My first step by step, I did not do the German short row shaping, so I think that's going to be something I really try this time. Speaking of my step by step sweater, I have to give an honorable mention to this sweater, which is the first step by step I tried to knit, and I ran out. I played yarn chicken and I ran out of yarn, and it's a yarn that I got at Rhinebeck in a sale bin that came unlabeled. I have no idea where it's from or how to get more of it. I mean, could I wear it as a crop like this? I could, but I won't. I know I won't. So unfortunately, I think I'm gonna frog this just because I love the yarn so much, and I'm gonna make a hat with it. Now in my queue, I have both the Perfect Day beanie and the Oslo hat. The Perfect Day beanie is by Kutovokika or Veronica Lindberg. I love her YouTube channel very much. She's definitely one of the people who inspired me to start a YouTube knitting channel. And of course, the Oslo hat is by Petite Knit. I have a couple of yarns I could use for both hats, but this is a very thick yarn, so I might need to find a little bit of a bulkier weight pattern. This is probably considered like a light bulky weight yarn. I mean, I don't know, I don't have any classifications on it, but I just think this would be a beautiful hat. Here, let me show you. I also know I wanted to attempt the Perfect Day beanie by Kutovokika. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. In my Juniper Moon Farm cotton and merino yarn, which I got at Rhinebeck in 2025. So I think it'd be really nice to make a soft beanie with this. So I imagine I'll cast on these three projects kind of in a similar time frame of Cashmere Sophie, second step-by-step sweater, and the Perfect Day beanie in this yarn. Now this is not the recommended yarn, it just was in my stash and I'm trying to stash bust, so we'll see how it goes with this yarn. If you have any other recommendations for using one ball of this yarn, I'm open to it. And this is the color 5 in Chambray. Okay, once I finish my second step-by-step sweater, I want to cast on the Roomy Raglan, and that's a pattern by Jules Efterfield. Conveniently, it calls for a Cascade Yarns Ecological Wool, held double with Blue Sky Fibers Wool Stock Light, and I had a skein of this already in this beautiful chocolate brown color. It's their colorway 8095 in ebony, and it's really just like a warm chocolate brown. I got this at my local yarn store, Grumpy Goat Fine Yarns in Port Jervis, New York, and it's a bulky weight yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I was so glad to see that this pattern calls for this yarn I already have. Now I only have one skein of it, so I went on Wool & Co.'s website and I ordered a couple more skeins of the Cascade wool, and then a couple of skeins of the Blue Skies Fibers Wool Stock Light in dark chocolate. I'll insert a picture of that here for you. Together, I'm gonna make the Roomy Raglan. I think it'll be a really nice, soft, chunky weight sweater. So I figure by the time that I've knit 2 more sweaters, it's gonna be time to cast on some spring knits. Last year, I bought this Pima Cotton Ambitiously to make camisole number 10 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I cast it on, I've messed it up, I cast it off, blah, 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 blah. The point is, I have enough skeins of this beautiful blue Pima Cotton yarn. I apologize, I don't remember who it's by. Ooh, wait a minute, it's right here. Oh, I love when they put it in there. Oh, it's Cascade Yarns, but of course it is. It's Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima Cotton in the color 3820, which is like this beautiful blue color. It's coming up on the screen even more blue. It's a bit more of like an icy blue in person. The point is I have plenty of skeins of this to knit camisole number 10, and so I think that'll be a really nice first getting into spring knitwear. If I finish that top and I'm feeling inspired to make another spring top, I would love to attempt the Cloud Top by Petite Knit. Now that calls for some yarn I don't have in my stash already, so that would definitely be more of an investment piece because it calls for some nicer yarns. So I think once I get to these projects where I don't have yarn stashed for it, I'm gonna have to consider where I want to financially invest in my knitting. So I think it would be camisole number 10 first. And then if I wanna make another tank top, spring light fabric, the cloud top just seems like a beautiful addition to my wardrobe. Now take a detour back to sweaters with me, if you will, because I know that it can take me a while to knit some sweaters. It's gonna take me a while to learn some new skills. And by the time May, June rolls around, I should probably start working on things for fall because it might take me all summer to knit 1 or 2 fall pieces. So things I want to have ready for fall and winter use of 2026 would be the cloud sweater by Petite Knit. Again, I apologize for having so many Petite Knit patterns in here. Her patterns seem so universally like flattering and relatively simple. Now again, this calls for some yarn I don't have, so again, this would be an investment piece, which is why I'm going to make those other 2 sweaters first earlier this year that I already have most of the yarn for. But this just looks like such a beautiful little bit of a lighter weight sweater. And then after that, I'd love to attempt the Earth Pullover by Ozetta. And again, I would have to acquire the yarn for that. It just seems like a beautiful pattern. I love the drape on it. I love the way the sleeve fits. It just seems very beautiful and something I would reach for a lot. And on that same vibe, I would also add a sweater I would like to attempt as the plain yoke sweater by Le Knit. Seems like nice, lightweight. Seems like I could really throw that on over a t-shirt, over a tank top, and make it like a complementary piece. So that's something I'd love to attempt as well. Okay, what you're probably noticing is there's not a lot of complicated patterns on here, and I stand by it. I did a lot of research. I looked at a lot of Colorwork and Cablework patterns, and I do feel scared. I do feel intimidated. I also just feel like, as aforementioned, I'm going back to school, so testing my brain with knitting a ton, it's just not something I'm feeling like super called to in this moment. If the year goes on and I want to complicate things more, certainly I can add some color work or some cable work or some textures to my knitting queue. For now, I'm keeping it fairly simple and low-key. Again, it's only gonna be my 2nd year as a knitter, so I kind of still want these things to be beginner friendly. However, there is a pattern I'm completely taken by, obsessed with, and that's the Songbird Mittens by Erica Husser. I think these are so beautiful. Every time I see them, I pause and look at them online. They're absolutely gorgeous, and if I were to attempt color work, I think it'd be smart to start with a smaller scale. So this might be one colorwork pattern that I'd be interested to try next year, especially if I could, I think, stomach having a longer project. You know, maybe I would cast these on in April and hope to be done by December. I don't know. I also plan to knit some scrunchies, maybe a couple other smaller things like some small sweaters for Christmas trees or some small stockings for Christmas trees next fall to give away as gifts or for my own tree. So if I were to do a rapid fire of exactly what my upcoming knitting plans are, and I'm going to try and keep this in chronological order, but I may stray a little bit. The Sophie scarf, the Step by Step sweater, Roomy raglan, Oslo hat, Perfect Day beanie, cloud top, Earth pullover, cumulus blouse, cloud sweater, plain yoke sweater, camisole number 10. I can't remember if I said that already, but I plan to knit camisole number 10 sooner than that. And the Songbird Mittens if I'm feeling ambitious. So that's 12 official things in my Ravelry queue. And I just want to send my gratitude to all of the folks who wrote these beautiful patterns and all of the people who have made them already and talked about them online or shared about them on Ravelry and inspired me and helped me understand how to make them. This online community and my in-person community is what makes me feel inspired to continue to grow my knitting practice and my knitting hobby, so I really appreciate you all. All right, I would love for you to tell me which of these above patterns you've made before in the comments and how it went for you. If you have any recommendations or suggestions going forward. Again, please subscribe to see more videos like this and check me out on Instagram and TikTok. I'll see you in the new year.